Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with 60andMe. This is a message to our fabulous bloggers. I first of all want to thank you all for the contribution that you make to our 60andMe community. You are fabulous writers, and I just so much appreciate the work you do for us, and you're truly appreciated and loved by our community. We have over 100 bloggers now who write articles for us, and we have lots of conversation on email. I'm always here for you on a personal level. You've got my email address always, and I've loved having conversations with you about the personal things you're dealing with, your writing projects, the books you're working on, the different challenges that you might be having with websites and other things, and decided that it would be kind of cool every month to do a short video that I would send to you on a topic that I think might be of interest to you, building your business with your blog. And we would feature maybe a best practice, something that has really done well this month, and an example of that you can review, along with a technical tip or tool, some kind of resource that we think might be valuable to you, and then a video like this where I just get to chat with you a little bit and share what I've been through with 60andMe, and just give you a bit of an update on things that might be useful to you. Now this month, I would like to chat with you about how to take advantage of your writing skills in order to start your own blog. Now, many of you already have a blog. You already have a website, and that's totally fine. And I wanted to, and so some of these things may be very obvious to you or very repetitive. But I hope that there's some ideas here that we've learned, through our own experience, and maybe give you some inspiration to try things differently or experiment with something. But I am a writer by career. I've been in communications and marketing all my life at Microsoft and Siemens and other companies. So I love to write. I am a published author. I have a book that I have two actually that I published, and I really understand the writer mentality. Not that we're that unusual or odd, but I think you'd all agree we're unique. But when I started writing for 60andMe, it was a very different experience, from writing in a journal, writing of my own experiences. And, since then I've written hundreds of articles for 60andMe, and I've been featured on CNN. We've had articles in Huffington Post, and, several have done really well. We had one story that had 23,000 Facebook likes. So we've played around with different techniques and been successful in some we haven't. We've learned a lot of lessons. But personally, I would say I'm not an exceptional writer. I am a good writer. I am evocative, and I think I'm capable. But I've learned that over the last several years, having process has really helped me to succeed as a writer in an online format, which is what, of course, 60andMe is. Now, you obviously all have a passion for writing, or you wouldn't be doing what you do. It is a passion. But I'm going to give you some tips. There's 12 of them that actually I think can help you when working with 60andMe and building your blog in general and making it more successful as a business tool. So first thing, give your blog a mission. We started off 60andMe by saying that we were all about health, financial security, and happiness, or independence. That became our mantra. Everything we wrote about, pivoted back to those points. So I think that's really an important thing to remember, is to define your blog's mission, not in terms of a product or a service, because people don't really care about a product or a service. What they care about is how you're going to solve their problem. So how to do something, how to take what you've learned, what your experience is, and maybe a service or product you're offering, but in terms of how it's going to help them. I think that's really, really important. And what kind of problem they're trying to solve, then you'll get a community following you. The second thing is to break your writing process into parts. Now this was hard for me. I'm a very random writer. I do put the piece of paper in the typewriter. I just open a blank document, and I hope the words will come to me. Sometimes I even type with my eyes closed because I just wait for the inspiration. That's how I write when I write for me. But when you're writing online, it's good to know there's a process. Now, First thing is, and I'm going to read these because they're in the article. I'm going to send you a link here to a longer, much longer article that you can review. But it's basically identifying your customer needs. Do keyword research. Know what people are looking for. Ask your community. Draft like a prioritized list of topics, like titles, and you try to put yourself in the position of those people who are looking for problems to be solved. Next thing is to conduct some research. If you've got a Facebook group or other Instagram, ask people what they want to hear about. It's really important to get that engagement. And then once you've done the research, create an article outline. Now, we ask that our bloggers do this, and although you have been successful, understand the reason that we ask you to create your content in short paragraphs and to put a heading at the beginning of each of those short paragraphs. Because people read like that, they think like that. If you try to do a stream of consciousness piece, people may get engaged in the words, but they don't have a call to action. So that's important, creating an article outline. Then write an article draft. Just write it. Don't edit it, write it. Then next is to go back and edit it. And if you have a checklist, this for me really, really helps. No, this sounds all a bit formal and process driven, but it's really just my word of advice, just to have a checklist before you pass it to an editor. Now, the editor could be a friend, husband, partner, anyone, but somebody else's eyes on it. And that's a really important part of the process. Then it comes back to you for re-editing. Then you go through it again. Move it around, reprioritize, cut things out, make the sentences shorter. Just do things that are going to make it easy read. Then be sure to put at the end a call to action or a question, because that engages your community in a question, in a dialogue, and they always will answer if you ask. And then, of course, posting and promoting. Now, we're going to talk about this later, because it's really important that you do this, that you spend almost as much time promoting as you do writing. But I think sometimes we as writers don't think we need to do that. And truly, sometimes you don't. If you're writing a book, for example, people will move from one section to the next naturally. But when you're trying to write for online, you've got to actually give them something a question to answer, and and then promote it as in many places as you can, because that's how your website will be elevated in Google. That's how other people will find out about you. That's important. Next thing is write content that audiences want to read. It goes back to the questions about asking questions of their interest. It seems obvious, and I know it's obvious, but don't treat your business blog like you treat your personal blog. That's my number one piece of advice. We get so many wonderful people writing us, an article, on spec and saying it's beautiful. It's a beautiful personal piece, and it's a lovely stream of consciousness, but it's just not designed for online publication. So that's important. Ask your community. Do a survey. Use SurveyMonkey is free. You can send out a SurveyMonkey and ask your customers directly at events, when you're just having coffee with people. Just keep that dialogue going backwards and forwards so that you really have your finger on the pulse of what content people really want to read. And by the way, I'm not lecturing here or anything. I know I sound a little bit sort of formal, but it's really just what we've done and what I've learned in my own experience. So I'm just, honestly, you can ignore some of this if you've got a different approach. It's just another way of looking at it. Another thing is to build a consistent content strategy. Now, this is in terms of creating content. You don't have to write an article and post it every single day. But it's really good, I think, if you could actually get into a rhythm of doing it, every 3 days or even weekly, but just do the content production consistently. It's really important. The other thing is like what every good writer does, to be on the lookout all the time for topics that look interesting. I'm always reading things online, like I'm a great surfer on the web, and I'm always bumping into articles that go, wow, that's a really interesting topic. That's a cool question. And then I just make a little note on my notepad. I don't try to write it just then. And just create a little list of interesting topics. Another thing you can do actually very, very easily is to build video into your strategy. I do a lot of video. I never thought I ever would because I'm not super comfortable in front of the camera sometimes, but I've gotten better as I've practiced. And that's another thing is just be consistent. Do one video a week, one article. Just do whatever it takes to create that kind of predictability, because people like that, in my experience. Another thing you could do is to understand and apply the basics of SEO, search engine optimization. Now, SEO experts will always try to make this super complicated, and it isn't that complicated. You can use Google Analytics to actually, they have a keyword planner, Google Keyword Planner, where you can go up and basically, put a word in that you think is a topic of interest, creativity, and then it will say, it'll come up with what people are typing in Google to find, like, how do I become more creative? Or, different techniques for expanding my creativity. And you'll find that more people perhaps typed in the word creative rather than creativity. So put that in your title. It is a science and it's an art, and you just need to get used to using these tools and make sure that you incorporate those keywords into your title particularly, and then incorporate it into the article in various points. So if your title has, creative in the title, use that a couple of times in your article, as that's a pretty straightforward word, but you get the idea. So SEO, super important. We actually have some other articles on SEO that I can send to you too if you're interested, because it probably for me is one of the more strategic things when trying to get people organically to find your articles that are people that are not in your newsletter list or on your social media groups. Another thing is to make sure your content is easy to read. Simple point. You don't need to make it really complicated. Think section headings, short sentences, easy words, and images, lots of images and questions. That's the way to make content easy, in my opinion, to read. Now back to visuals. I think it's been proven, you probably all know this, that an article that has a picture, has a great powerful image, will get read two times plus. It's really important to have a good picture with your articles. Now at 60andMe, we always find pictures for you, so you don't have to worry. If you've got one that you've taken that is that you're licensed to use, you can send it to us, and lots of people do this. But if you're doing it on your own blog, just make sure that you go to a good site and get permission. Super, super important. Now, you may not want to go to the expense of going to like iStock Photo or Shutterstock, but there are quite a few places now where you can go and for a very low, small amount of money, buy a picture that you can use. Like Canva is one of them. I think there's Dreamstime, freeimages.com. There are some like Flickr and DeviantArt where you've got to be careful because some are free, but you have to check their Creative Commons attribution, and that will tell you whether you're able to use that piece of art. But do be careful about art. It's one of those things that you don't want to be misusing or borrowing or snipping from somewhere on the internet. Just take care with that. You've got to be licensed to use a picture on your blog. Next one, and I'm getting to the end here of my little suggestions, is always have an editor, even yourself, if it's yourself. If you're going to go through those steps that we talked about and you haven't got anyone to hand it to review, do what I do, and I actually literally do this. I put a hat on. I have a pink beret as my editor's hat, and I always put it on, and it's like, it sort of changes the lens, it changes my lens from me as Margaret the writer to Margaret the editor. And it's funny, just try it. It really works to put a hat on or a cap or a scarf, something that changes your identity and then you're just a bit more able to be ruthless with your other self. And you cut out all that redundant content and double words and dots and dashes and things that your WordPress site doesn't like. And then I think there's a couple of other short ones here, like engaging with your community and your audience. And if you haven't got a newsletter, a sign-up form, please do it. Make sure that you've got a way to get email addresses from your your people that are potential clients and people that are coming and loving your site, and also give them a way to provide feedback. Now, I know a lot of people put their articles up and never see any comments, any content. Two reasons. One is that perhaps you didn't ask a question, and always maybe put a little sentence yourself. Just fill in the first, looking forward to your comments, just something, so people notice it down there. And also, maybe consider installing the Facebook comments box. Now, yes, people don't like us logging in with Facebook, but it's really important to know that who's leaving the content. You don't have to keep monitoring it. If it's through Facebook, you pretty much are sure you know who it is. People aren't lying about their Facebook profile. So that's another thing to get feedback, from your community. And then once you've made it easy for them to comment, make it easy for them to share. And that's, I think, really important, using social bookmarking bar on the top of your articles, just making sure that people can easily press Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. They can just read the article, share it, and encourage them to share it. If you do a video, we'll always mention, to go and sign up on our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Just be a little bit boastful and do a shout out for yourself. So there's lots of options. I think that's about it. I think the thing about promotion I'll cover in a separate little video, but again, I'll just reinforce the importance of taking honestly as much time that you took writing the article to promoting it. Tell your fans and your friends on Facebook. Tag people on the post. If you've written an article that a company, just put a little @ and then put the name so that they can share it. They can see that you've mentioned them. I think it's really important. And link to your articles on your site that have a similar theme. Kind of link your articles together. I think that's really, really important too. And of course, you must have a newsletter, right? You've just got to get those people in a newsletter list and go ahead and make sure that they know there's you've got a way to contact them with your Aweber or Infusionsoft or whatever tool that you use. So that's it. I hope this has been useful. I'm going to do this every month for you, and if you have got feedback on how we've presented today or the things that we've shared with you, please let me know. And I'm looking for dialogue with you guys. I really, truly, as I said at the beginning, I appreciate you so much. You are, you're part of our 60andMe family, and you're valued, and I want to make sure we're supporting you in reaching your business goals. It's super important for me. So have a great day, everybody. Have a fabulous writing day. I hope that you get lots done. And if you've got any questions at all, please provide feedback here. Let's start a conversation. We can get to meet each other, and I can also take your personal questions, of course, anytime. Thanks again for all you do for 60andMe, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.